my name's Tamara Robitel. I've been asked to talk with you all, or rather present to you all, on contributing issues to why our voucher programs don't seem to be working, or why we're seeing this huge uptick in people asking for assistance, as well as the resulting issues if we fail to act on these issues. So, in order to afford a house, the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, circa 2009, estimates that a person should spend no more than 30% of their income. However, 30 to 38% of all households in the U.S. are housing burdened, meaning that they spend more than that 30%. By estimates of the Monroe Group, each working member of a family would need to earn $20 to $25 an hour in order to be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. That's not counting a house, that's not counting a mortgage, that's not counting any of the bills. That's where our various agencies step in to provide assistance. On average, our agencies provide 3.1 million people across the U.S. with assistance, including seniors, children, and people with disabilities, and that's according to the Center on Budget and Policies Procedures, circa 2019. However, as we all well know, our programs are not perfect. Voucher programs typically favor white families, and with Black and Hispanic families being 38.3% more likely to be cost burdens, and immigrant families being 78.2% more likely to be cost burden, and that's by McConnell in 2013. And by this I mean that a white family who is in low income is more likely to receive a housing voucher, but people who are housing burdened are more likely to be Black or Hispanic, and especially if they're immigrants. This, coupled with a high demand for housing but less houses being built, and housing market issues resulting from the remaining houses being more expensive on top of stagnant wages, has marked an increase in the amount of persons needing housing assistance, which is where we see our huge uptick. And this is according to Frontline reports, as well as an article by Quigley and Raphael in 2004. Interestingly enough, while the tax credit industry, that being the housing market industry, that being the housing voucher system, all that deal itself is booming, it is costing the taxpayer 66% more, while building a third less of the units that need to be built if you compare like 2014 to 1997, and that is also according to Frontline 2014. The National Council of State Housing states that a decline in government help through soft subsidies, the increased cost of helping persons who have low income, the tax credit industry's desire to build in areas that are in areas of opportunity or more expensive, coupled with the council's additional fight against homelessness, make it all the more difficult for them to provide assistance, or for our agencies to provide assistance. In short, the biggest contributors to the housing issues is an increase in the buying population, coupled with more expensive homes driven by not-in-my-backyard policies that prevent the new affordable housing from being built, on top of a voucher system that still has traces of racist and segregationist policies. I wonder, what are the dangers of not having enough housing? Or for that matter, what are the effects of living in low-income housing areas? And basically, what is the risk if we do not step up and find some additional means of mitigating this crisis? First and foremost depends on the type of low-income housing area you live in. According to Ernie Hood in his 2005 article, Dwelling Disparities, How Poor Housing Leads to Poorer Health, a lack of sidewalks, bike paths, recreational areas in some communities discourages physical activity and contributes to obesity. And in those low-income areas that do have such amenities, the threat of a crime keeps many people inside. He also notes that income segregation, that being the act of putting everyone who cannot afford a certain level of housing in a restricted area, Not only does that contribute to obesity, but it also will contribute to poor mental health outcomes. Hughes et al., 2016, found while researching literature on the health of low-income housing areas that low-income housing directly contributed to children being more likely to have asthma and other health issues than children living in non-low-income housing areas. This is thought to be non-low-income housing areas. This is thought to be because of the wealth disparity coupled with a lack of access to key resources due to the placement of low-income housing areas. In short, we have a health crisis that results from a system that will not build enough houses while it costs the taxpayers more, which leads to them wanting their housing the cost of their home, the price of their home to go up through not in my backyard policies.